So how's everybody? Good? Huh? I did. It's a new school year. I figured new look. Huh? Yeah? I may grow it out again, but leaving it for now. So today we're going over LinkedIn profiles and your professional development plans. FYI, I put the recording of Tuesday's lecture up on the syllabus. So the recordings that I make of the lectures each day, if you go to the content section of Blackboard and open up the syllabus, and then scroll down in the syllabus till you get to the course schedule, I'll put a little hyperlink on the date of each lecture, and if you click on that, that'll bring you to a YouTube recording. Okay? So that's got my voice and everything that's on the screen. So that's where the first one is. The second one, it usually takes me about 24 to 48 hours to post it after class is over. I've got to process it on my laptop. It takes a little while. So I'll be posting those within a day or two after the lectures. So that's that. Moving on to professional image development. Here's the lecture slides for today. So I'm going to talk about 4 things, and I got 2 lectures to go through today, and there's 4 items here in this first lecture. I want to talk. How many people in here have had a LinkedIn profile before this class? Okay, a fair number of you. How many people, especially the ones that haven't had my class before, used your LinkedIn profile heavily before this class?
Getting messages from people trying to get me to go to another college.
To get to another college?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
There's have job offers on there too.
Job offers, yes. That I'm not surprised at, but.
But I got 2 or 3 from different colleges, online colleges. Pretty sure it's a mass email.
Yeah, I think it probably is.
Saying I can complete my bachelor's online. Really annoying.
Yeah, unfortunately, you kind of have to take the good with the bad. LinkedIn is an incredibly powerful networking tool. Unfortunately, it's a networking tool that a lot of people use, so you tend to get a little bit of spam in your inbox because of that. But I'll talk a little bit about the power of LinkedIn to really be able to find a contact at almost any company in the world. I'll talk a little bit about a positioning statement for your profile and how important that is. Talk a little bit about leveraging your, I guess there's 5 points, not 4, sorry. Leveraging your educational deliverables. So a lot of times the work that you've done in your courses is more impressive than the work that you've done at your job so far. And I really want you to have a chance to get credit for the experience that you do have working on projects and homework assignments in your undergrad degree. So LinkedIn gives you a nice opportunity to display those accomplishments as if they were job accomplishments. Duties versus accomplishments. We'll talk a little bit about putting concrete numbers to your description of what you've done in your various jobs and school projects. And then we'll talk a little bit about polish and attention to detail. So, the power of LinkedIn, first of all. Let me pull up. I'm going to need my password, I bet, and I can't remember it. Yeah. Okay, you guys hang on 1 second. I gotta go get my password from my laptop in my office. I'll be right back. Okay, so the power of LinkedIn. This is my sort of LinkedIn homepage. This is similar to what your page will look like when you land after you open up your account. And one of the really cool things about LinkedIn is that you can find a contact at almost any company in the world. So somebody in here give me a name of a company you'd like to know a contact at.
Apple.
Apple? That one's too easy, but we'll do it. So if you just type in Apple and hit enter, you've got job results, which I'll talk about a little bit later. There's actually 15,000 jobs at Apple that are posted on LinkedIn right now as available. But there's results for people. This results for people at Apple right here gives me all of the people that I know or that know someone that I know who knows someone at Apple. So basically, if you look at the little first that's next to the name here, that's a first degree connection. That's somebody that I directly know. If you look at just second, that this is these are people that I know. People. These are contacts where I know someone that knows them. Does that make sense?
Friend of a friend.
Huh?
Friend of a friend.
Yes. So you'll notice here there's 1,011. Well, first of all, if we go to first, there's 5 people I know at Apple directly. Or at least they've got Apple somewhere in their profile. They may have worked there in the past or done an internship there, but they've got some connection to Apple. If I go to second degree contacts, there's over 1,000 people at Apple where I know somebody that knows them. And for all of you guys, because you know me, these will be listed as third degree connections for you. So that means you know somebody who knows somebody who knows this person. And as soon as you're connected with me, that's why I have you all connect with me at the beginning of class. You have access to all my contacts, basically. So, was it somebody say something? Okay. So if you look here, Miguel Morales, specialist at Apple. So we both know Monica Cervantes. Monica is the HR director at Wonderful Orchards, or the Wonderful Company, whatever the name is. But she's the HR director at the Wonderful Company, and she knows Miguel. So if I wanted to talk to Miguel, and I could just send a message to Monica saying, "Hey, Monica, could you please introduce me to Miguel?" And that way I've got a contact at Apple that I didn't have before. Same thing applies to you guys. If you see that I'm connected to someone who knows Miguel, then you send me a message saying, "Hey, I noticed that you're connected to somebody that's connected to Miguel. Could you please introduce me?" And then I'll talk to Monica and say, "Hey, Monica, one of my students wants to talk to some more people at Apple. Could you introduce us to Miguel?" And then she'll make that introduction. So almost any company in the world, you just type in the search, and LinkedIn will display contacts that you know, or that somehow that you know indirectly or directly at that company. It's an incredibly powerful tool for networking. So that is sort of the power of LinkedIn that I wanted to show you guys to start out with. The next point is positioning statements. So the next several points on my my lecture here correspond to elements of your profile. So if I click on the little icon with my face, you can do the same thing for your face, and then view profile. It'll allow you to see your own profile. So this is my profile, and this section here at the very top is your positioning statement. So LinkedIn gives you the opportunity to say something about yourself overall at the very beginning of your resume. So I think it's really important for all of you to position yourselves as the kind of professional you want to be perceived as. So if you want to be perceived as a marketing professional, put in here marketing professional with X number of years experience. All of you, if nothing else, have 4 years of project-based experience because you've had that experience during your undergrad work. So even if you haven't had a job in the marketing industry, you can still say you're a marketing professional with 4 years of project-based experience, because it's project-based. It's based on the projects you've done in your marketing major. So it allows you to portray yourself as a little bit more legitimate of a professional than usually comes across in your resume in just a one-pager. So you're going to want to say what kind of professional you are, how many years of experience you have, and then just mention a few highlights of who you are. Worked on have worked on major marketing deliverables as part of my undergrad experience, or have been a part of 3 projects doing financial analysis for companies in the area. Something to that effect. What I've put in here is author and coach in the areas of small business executive decision making. A couple other areas where I'm an expert, and then to sum up all the projects that I've done, I basically said that I was a key player in a number of educational consulting and business expansion projects. That kind of covers all the different types of projects that I've done over the years and the continents where I did them. So each of you I want each of you to put together a profile, a positioning statement like this for yourselves in your profile, positioning yourself in the way you want to be perceived. So that's the positioning statement. Leveraging the value of educational project deliverables. If you look here under Add New Profile section, this is where you can go in and add sections to your profile. So it'll give you all kinds of different background, skills, accomplishments. Under accomplishments, there's projects. If you go ahead and click on that to add a project, you can put the name of the project. I usually just put when it started, not necessarily when it finished. You can put both though. And then a short description of the project. So in my profile, if we scroll down to the projects section, four projects. So if we expand the projects, I've put a couple examples in here of the kind of thing I want you guys to do. So if you look at this first one, applications development using VBA, I took a class when I was doing my PhD on how to do Visual Basic application development. And that's all it is a class that I took in my PhD. And the way I described it, participated in a class on Visual Basic Programming. Deliverable accomplishments include the following. So just one sentence, participated in X class. Deliverable accomplishments include the following. That sentence you want to have in there, and then colon, space, and write some deliverable accomplishment that you did as part of the homework assignment. So in that class, we basically had to write code for a program that would do whatever we wanted it to do. So I had a program that would go through my contact folder and select certain contacts automatically based on the kind of company or the kind of category they were in. And to summarize that, wrote approximately 500 lines of Visual Basic code spread across multiple subroutines for 6 different class projects. I take back the description. The final project was a program that I had to do for selecting various contacts out of my contact folder. There were other projects, little smaller assignments that we had to do over the course of the class. So you really want to quantify things as much as possible in your profile. You want numbers attached to it. So I just went back to the syllabus of the class. I think I may have a copy of that syllabus in Blackboard. I'm not sure. No, unfortunately, I don't have it in here. But basically, even if you took a class 2 or 3 years ago, if you still have a copy of the syllabus, just go back and look at the syllabus. Look at what the homework assignments were, and describe doing those as if it were a job project. Okay? So that's what I did to develop this one. I just went and read the syllabus to remind myself, oh yeah, we did those programming tasks for different subroutines that we needed to develop. So I then came up with this one sentence talking about what I did as part of that project. In this class, for example, each of you in this class are going to be working on 2 different projects that you could put in your LinkedIn profile. One is a case analysis project. So your project would say something like senior seminar or strategic management case analysis project. Participated in a class on business strategy. Deliverable accomplishments include the following. Together with 4 teammates, developed a 10-page analysis of the Microsoft organization, identifying 3 new HR initiatives that the company is implementing. I mean, it all depends on what you actually identify in your case analysis, but you just want to have one sentence summarizing the fact that you did this case analysis. It was X number of pages, and one of the interesting things that you found in that analysis was Y. Okay? And just put it in there like that. The other project that you'll have is the Globus online simulation. So for that one, the title would read Globus Online Strategy Competition. Participated in an international competition on business strategy, featuring a simulation of digital camera companies. Deliverable accomplishments include the following. Team placed 3rd overall, 3rd within the class, and managed to achieve a 20% improvement on revenues over the course of the period. Something to that effect. So that's 2 projects just from this class. And you can take your homework assignments from any other class that you've taken over the course of your time here at Cal State. You could also do the same thing for those of you who did classes at BC or somewhere else beforehand. Write up the same kinds of summaries of homework and projects for those as well. Make sense so far? Any questions? Okay. The next point, duties versus accomplishments. There's 2 different ways of writing about what you did in any particular job or academic project. You can write the tasks that you did, or you can write the accomplishments that you accomplished. And I want you guys to write the accomplishments that you accomplished. I want you to put numbers in your descriptions of what you did. So if you look here, this is a profile from one of my students from a couple of years ago, assistant manager at Big 5 Sporting Goods. Responsibilities included opening and closing the store, creating work schedules, receiving weekly shipments and entering them into inventory, running day-to-day operations, That's fine, but I want to know how many work schedules did he create? What was the dollar value of the shipments that he received each week? How large was the inventory that he was responsible for? And it doesn't have to be an exact number. You just need to ballpark these things off the top of your head. So if you normally received about 10 shipments a week, and one of the shipments was full of t-shirts to put on the shelves. Each of the t-shirts had a retail, each of the t-shirts would sell for $15, and there were 40 t-shirts in the box. So 40 t-shirts times $15 should be $600. $600 worth of inventory. So that would be $600, and then $600 for that one times 10 for all the different shipments that you get over the course of the week. That would be roughly $6,000 in weekly shipments. Much better than just saying responsible for receiving weekly shipments. Okay? So to the extent that you can, really try and think about numbers that you can attach to your profile descriptions. Here's an example of the way that I did it on my profile for one of the jobs that I had. When I was a headhunter, I was a headhunter for about a year for a company called Robert Half. I give one sentence that gives the duties. So it's okay to write about the duties, but you don't want to focus too much on the duties. You just want to state them briefly and then move on to the accomplishments. So, account executive responsible for acquiring, scoping, and managing finance and accounting consulting projects. That's basically what I did. Deliverable accomplishments include the following. I really like this phrase, deliverable accomplishments include the following. Please use it in all your profiles. And then I just thought back over the course of the time that I was working there and what were the things that I was most proud of that I did. Well, I could calculate how much profit I made for the company because I would go out and I would close a deal for a new sale, and that would have a certain amount of dollars that we billed the client and a certain amount of profit that was left over for us after we paid the consultant. So I just went in and did a ballpark number and came up with about $100,000 in gross margin and $250,000 in gross sales that I had done. And that's just basically, that's thinking about, okay, I had a project that had a consultant that we had for 100 hours of billing, and we paid them we paid them $50 and we billed them for $100. So $100 times 100 hours should be 10,000. Is that right? $10,000 of total billing, $5,000 of profit. So I thought about that, and I thought about, well, there were about 20 projects that I did over the course of the year, so if I multiplied 20 projects times an average project of the $5,000 of profit margin, that's $100,000 of profit margin. Like I said, the numbers don't have to be exact; they just need to be ballpark. And they always vary depending on what your particular responsibilities and duties were in the job. Another example, I was responsible for setting meetings with clients. I'm not the best sales closer in the world, but I'm an awesome opener. I will develop new leads until the cows come home. So that was something I was really proud of in that job, and I wanted to emphasize it. So over the course of the year, I just kind of ballparked, okay, on an average week, how many meetings do I have with clients? And then I multiplied it times a year. And so over the course of the year, I had about 300 project scoping meetings with key clients. So that means that I met with them, discussed their labor situation, discussed how we could potentially put a consultant on that project. And then finally, there's one particular project that I did that I was really proud of. It was for without saying the name of the company, it was for a large armored car company. You can fill in the names of only a handful of armored car companies that exist in the world. It was for a large national logistics company, is what I said here, so I made it even more general, but it was an armored car company. And we did $50,000 in booked revenues, and there was $1 million of potential add-on work. So there was additional projects we could have done afterwards that I wanted to mention as well. We didn't end up doing those projects. So it's okay, and if you're talking about marketing or sales, it's okay to talk about the potential markets that you discovered. You just have to call it a potential market rather than an actual sales accomplishment. So sometimes your greatest accomplishment may have been identifying 5 big new markets that you could go into, but then your boss decided, no, let's just focus on this one market. But in your description of your job accomplishments, you want to talk about the fact that you discovered all 5 of those markets. So this is an example of how I want you to write your descriptions and your profiles with numbers. You could have as little as 1 bullet point. You could have multiple bullet points. It just depends on how many things you did in that job that are worth mentioning, or how many things you did in that academic project that are worth mentioning. Polish and attention to detail. I am not a big stickler for spelling and grammar and punctuation and stuff. If you go back and look at like the Declaration of Independence or letters that were sent between the founding fathers of the country, or any kind of correspondence from the 1700s or 1800s, there's spelling errors everywhere. I mean, there was sort of like it was sort of like you decide how to spell the word. Not that there's a universal way to spell the word, but you spell it the way that you think it should be spelled. It's not a new thing that students today don't care about spelling or don't care about grammar. It's a problem that's gone on in our society for as long as we've had our society. However, because we have LinkedIn profiles, because we have the internet, because we have omnipresent digital information, you're on the spot a lot more than people in the past who wrote a letter that maybe nobody ever reads because it's in a museum somewhere. If you read it in the museum, you realize that they had a bunch of spelling errors in there. But you never know that unless you went to the museum because you don't have access to the letter. Now everybody has access to everything you ever write because it's all digital. So, unfortunately, it looks bad when you have grammar and spelling mistakes. It looks unprofessional, and even though it's hard to overcome them, you need to just constantly go through your profile, reread it, and every time you notice something that could be better spelling-wise or punctuation-wise, continuously improve the profile. So I've got an example here. Created a company comparison template between two rival firearms companies showcasing. Showcasing is one word, not two. The advancements, struggles, and improvements the company could choose for years to come, not the years to come. Worked with a team on a marketing adventure through the website globus.com, demonstrating what it takes for a made-up company to run, utilizing skills and decision-making to help advise, rather than advice, marketing image to be high in our life. So it's small things, but it sounds unprofessional. It looks unprofessional when you read it if you don't change those little things. So make sure that you go through your profile with a fine-tooth comb and continually look for things that you can polish and make shine more from a spelling and grammar standpoint. And here I've got an example of the end product of another one of the items in my profile where I really went through and combed for mistakes and took them out. That's the main points that I wanted to make on LinkedIn profiles. So going back to summarize, and then we'll go on to your professional development plans. Coolest thing about LinkedIn is you can find contacts at any company you want all over the world. Big opportunity. And people can find you. Like Cole said, he's got a couple of job offers that he got from LinkedIn. Recruiters will reach out to you if your profile is on LinkedIn. Now, some of them are more legit than others, but they are job offers, and it gets you out in the market and you get another place in addition to Indeed and all the other places where you might have your resume. So you can find contacts, and contacts can find you. I didn't show this, but in addition to the name of the company, if you want to find somebody with a certain skill set, you could also type in, let's say I want people with C++ program experience. So if I just type in C++, enter, that'll find me all the people that have C++ somewhere in their resume. So you have to play with the words a little bit. If you want a project manager, then maybe you use the word project management. If you want an accounting professional, perhaps you type in accounting or year-end closing or something like that. You have to play with the terms a little bit, but people are out there looking for people with certain qualifications. And if you have those qualifications typed into your profile, then you will appear on this list as well. And vice versa, if you're looking for a certain kind of, so like, for example, in some of the businesses that I ran in the past, I needed programmers to do some tweaking of my website, and I needed people that had C++ programming experience. I don't know off the top of my head who I know that has C++. I don't remember that. Who do I know that has C++ programming experience? But if I type in C++, it'll show me, look, here's Prosper, Philip, Mohammed, Again, this is a first degree contact, so I know Prosper directly. Philip is a second degree contact, so I know someone who knows Philip. I can go through and find somebody that has C++ programming experience just by typing that in on LinkedIn. Very, very useful. So going back to the summary again, LinkedIn, incredibly useful for networking. When you make your profile, make sure you have a positioning statement. So position yourself as whatever kind of professional you want to be perceived as, and put that right at the beginning of your profile. Second of all, make sure that you list academic projects that you've done, not just the work experience that you have. Those academic projects have a lot of really good qualifications that in some ways are more impressive for employers than what you've done in your job. Third, make sure to attach numbers to your descriptions of your job experience or your project experience. And fourth, make sure that you go through things with a fine-tooth comb and fix spelling and grammar errors. Make sense? Okay. So now, professional development plan. So, when I talked about the value proposition of education or higher education in class on Tuesday, I talked about the fact that my goal for this class is, my goal for the value proposition for you guys is that you get a degree and you get a job. So I really like to make sure that I'm focusing this class as much as I can on how you're going to get a job. So because I want to focus this, I want this class to help you get a job. So I want your description of your work on the Globus simulation, and I want your description of your case analysis project to be something that is going to be impressive for people that want to hire you. And I want it to be in your LinkedIn profile so that the people that want to hire you can read it. That's why I asked, what is your job today and what job do you want to have in the future? That's why I asked you this question in your template. Because for discussion, it's nice to know what everybody's job is right now. And for targeting what case analysis you want to do your project on, for targeting the way that you describe your profile, it's useful to know what job you want to get afterwards. If you want to get a job as a banker, you're going to write one thing in your profile. If you want to get a job working for Microsoft as a project manager, you're going to write something totally different. So it all depends on the kind of job that you want. I don't get too much into the details of this, but I do like to focus a little bit for you guys on how much money do you make right now and how much money do you want to make to achieve your goals in life, or how much money do you need to make to achieve your goals in life. When I was an undergrad, I was a German history major at Stanford. And Stanford's a great place to have on my resume, but there's so many things I didn't learn while I was there that I really wish I had. And one thing I wish somebody had taught me, like simple facts about how much money I was going to be making when I left and how much money I needed to make to like make my dreams come true. Because the money I was going to be making when I got out was a hell of a lot less than I thought it was going to be, and the money that I needed to achieve my dreams was a hell of a lot more than I thought it was going to be. So it's good to think about these things so that you are making realistic plans for how to achieve your goals. So this is why I asked in the template in the right-hand column what your financials are, your baseline, how much you plan to make after graduation, and how much you mean to make long term. So baseline, mid-range, and long term. I also like to include long-term goals in this because I want you guys to dream big. Just because this class is largely focused on the next job that you're going to get, not the final job that you're going to get. But one thing that I'm good at is dreaming big. I've always been a big dreamer, and I want to encourage all of you guys to dream big too. And the sooner you articulate your dream and you put numbers to it, the more realistic it is that you're going to achieve it. So I want to. The class is not so much focused on your long-term goals, but I want you to be thinking about it in this class at least, and I want to know what they are so that to the extent that I can give you advice on how to get to those goals. And then finally, the rule of 10. I've done a lot of sales work over the course of my career, and I'm really superstitious about the number 10. If you want to close a new deal for a sale, you need to have 10 potential deals that you're working on. If you want to get a new job with a bank, you need to have 10 applications for jobs at banks. And then one of them will probably work out. If you only have one application out there, it might not work out. So whatever your goals are for your job in the future, make sure that you have 10 options, not just one. And to the extent that applies, that also applies to networking. So a lot of times you may have to go through and look for 10 different contacts, and one of them is going to respond and say, yeah, I'd be happy to talk to you. The other 9 may say, no, I'm busy, or no, I don't want to refer you to that person. It's not every contact that you talk to in LinkedIn that's going to be helpful. So you might want to identify 10 in order to get one at the end that's going to be able to help you. So important to remember the rule of 10. So there's 3 basic steps or levels in the professional development plan that I have to fill out: the baseline, the mid-range goals, and the long-term goals. The mid-range goals are there, A, so that you can brainstorm next steps for your professional life; B, so that you can set realistic income goals based on your budget; and C, so that you can do job searching and network building. So the reason I ask you what job you want to get in the future is so that you can plan as a part of this, as part of the LinkedIn networking that you do as part of this class. Are you putting together a profile that makes you look like the kind of professional you want to get hired to be? And are you applying for enough jobs? Are you talking to enough contacts that you're just going to be successful in getting that job? Then long-term goals. There's a couple things. How many people in here don't exactly know what you want to be when you grow up? Wow, that's a relatively small number. If you don't know what you want to be when you grow up, the book, have you ever heard of the book, What Color Is Your Parachute? Cole has. It's a great book for figuring out what you want to do when you grow up. You can get it on Amazon for about $5 or $10. It gives you a bunch of exercises. Like it'll ask you to fill out a questionnaire like, what kind of information do you most like using? Digital books, databases, and then what kind of social setting do you like the most? Working by myself at a desk, constant sales contact with others, some social contact. It gives you these options, and you can pick what would your ideal job look like. And you fill out all these questionnaires, and then the book will tell you, based on the way you filled those out, here's some jobs that you would be really satisfied at. And I filled out this book the year after my senior year of Stanford, and it said I should be a university professor. I didn't listen to it. I went out and tried to start my own business and worked in the music business for a while, and I finally came back and did this. And this is my favorite job that I've ever had, being a professor. It's better than anything else that I've ever done. And if I had just listened to the book, I could have been doing this 25 years ago. Now, if I had done that, I wouldn't have the experience that I bring to the class for you guys, but I would have spent several more years of my life being happier because I was doing a job that I really liked. So for those of you who don't know, or you think you know, but you just want to test and see whether you're really going into a field that you're going to be satisfied in, get a copy of this book and go through the exercises. It's really, really valuable. And then the other two reasons I want you to focus on your long-term goals are to be able to plan the income that you need. So dream big and then plan. And again, I have a large contact network. You can find it on LinkedIn. If your dream job is to eventually work for Disney, but right after graduation, you're going to do some accounting work for a year or two, or you're going to work for an agriculture company because you've already got a job there, and you're going to stick with the company that you are with for the first year or two after graduation. But your dream would be to work for Disney, or your dream would be to be in the music business. My dream would be to be an international travel agent. I don't know, whatever your dream is, to open a restaurant. You can find contacts that I know or that other people know who own restaurants or who work at Disney. And you can start networking with people who are eventually going to help you get your dream job. There may not be anything available right away, but if you start talking to people now and keep in touch with them 2, 3, 4 years from now, you may be able to get to that dream job that you wanted to get to. So this is why I asked you to articulate these things in the professional development plan. That's what it looks like. As you all know, I sent it around to you. I just want to, for those of you who haven't filled it out yet, I want to, or for those of you who have, if you want to edit or change it in some way, there's a finite number of options that you usually have for what you're going to do after you leave undergrad. You're either going to earn more money in your current job, you're going to move to a new job in the same company, you're going to find a new job but in the same industry, you're going to find a new job in a different industry, you're going to go to grad school, or you could do an internship, volunteer opportunity, or hobby project. So that's pretty much the options that you could have. If some of you already have a job you like and you just want to stay there but maybe move up, or earn more money but stay in the exact same job. You may like being in the agriculture industry, but instead of working for your family's farm, you'd rather work for Wonderful. Or instead of Wonderful, you'd like to work for Bold House instead, because Wonderful, you don't have opportunities for advancement, but you like being in the agriculture business. It may be that you're working as a waiter or waitress right now, and you want to be in accounting. So a great way to get out of one industry and get into another is when you graduate from undergrad. So that's another option. Grad school is an option, MBA, master's degrees, PhDs, another option. And I list here internships, volunteer opportunities, and hobby projects. Those don't pay money, but they can be arguably the most important thing you can do for reaching your long-term goals. A lot of times it's hard to get into a certain industry, or it's hard to get into a certain line of work it's hard to build experience in a certain line of work. So, or it's hard to start your own business and immediately start making money from it. So, but if your dream is to have your own business someday, then start small. Build a website now. If you wanted to have a bakery, build a website and maybe do one Tupperware party kind of thing per month. Where you invite people over and they all chip in some money and they get the food that you bake, and it gets you started towards eventually opening your own bakery. Or if you'd like to work in the music business, get an internship working for somebody that books concerts, or working for somebody working as an intern at Sony Music. And again, that may only be 5 or 10 hours a week, and it doesn't pay you money, so you're going to have another job in order to pay your bills. But like the job that you have paying your bills, being an accountant in Bakersfield, is never going to be sex, drugs, and rock and roll. If you want sex, drugs, and rock and roll, you need to do that internship at Sony. But you're not going to be able to make any money at it at first, so you got to make sure you have another job. But don't turn your nose up at internships and volunteer opportunities and hobby projects, because they're probably the most important thing you can do for getting to your long-term goals. As an example of that, the summer between my first and second years of my MBA, I worked at a company called Artist Direct. And Artist Direct was an online store and a booking agency for top name music artists to book their concerts. And I had to make money. I actually worked for $5 an hour. It wasn't that much money, but I had to make money in that job. All of my colleagues who were doing MBAs were getting $30,000 internships on Wall Street and doing other high-powered stuff financially, and I turned my nose up at anything that was free. If I had been willing to work for free and just get coffee for the agents at that agency, those agents booked concerts for the Beastie Boys, for Red Hot Chili Peppers, for some of the biggest names in the industry. If I had just worked for free, I would have made contacts with all these famous bands. And who knows, maybe today I would be a power broker in Hollywood rather than a professor at Cal State. Now, I love my job here, so I think everything worked out well. But if I had just been willing to do that free job, it would have opened a lot of doors in the music business for me, and I wasn't willing to do it. So don't turn your nose up for volunteer stuff or internships, because it could get you where you want to go. Realistic budget goals. Some of you are more realistic than others about what money you're going to need after you graduate. So I've listed here a brief laundry list of everything that should be on. If there's something in here that's not on your list, you better have it on your list, because otherwise you're going to be in for a rude awakening sometime later in life. So taxes and withholding. First thing to remember is gross is not the same as net income. So if your salary is $50,000 a year, that means you probably got 30 to 35 that you actually take home. So when you're thinking about what you can spend your money on over the course of the year, remember that your budget is net, not gross. If possible, you should really try to save 20% of your income for retirement, for long term. You just put it away and don't touch it. You also want to put away additional cash for rainy day funds. you never know when you're going to lose your job, or you never know when things you may have like health problems, or you may have family issues that you need to deal with. Like sometimes things come up and you're going to have to go for 6 months without an income. If you put money aside so that it's just sitting there in cash, waiting, then it's not going to ruin your life to take 6 months off from a job. If you don't have that money sitting aside, then you're not going to be able to take 6 months off from a job. You're going to end up doing 3 jobs and like breaking your back trying to make ends meet, and life is just going to be miserable in general. So important to put away cash in addition to your savings for retirement, so that you're able to deal with unexpected events when they come up. Healthcare, in addition to paying for your healthcare insurance, remember that there's deductibles and copays. You should take a look at your insurance and make sure you know what deductible you're responsible for, and have money available in case you need to pay that deductible. Like it all depends on how much you use your health insurance, but sometimes when I've used my health insurance more, I've been really happy that I have that insurance. But then all of a sudden there's like an additional $1,000 because of some procedure that I did, and I didn't have that planned in my budget. The procedure was $10,000. 90% was covered by the insurance, but that still means I have to pay $1,000. So make sure you know what your healthcare deductibles are. Rent and utilities, car payment, telecom. I put telecom. To me, that includes phone, internet, TV, and any online subscriptions that you have. Food and entertainment. All of those should be in your budget. And then depending on what your goals are in life, there should be other items in your budget where you're saving for this, or you're participating, or you're putting this much money into your company that you're starting. Yes?
I think you forgot one thing.
What?
Loans.
Student loans. Yes, student loans. Not all of you have. How many people do not have student loans in this room? Yeah, so it's not relevant for everybody, but yes, you're right. I should have put that on there. Student loan payback. And anything else. But I wanted to make sure to give you guys this list and challenge you to look at your own budget that you're planning on after graduation and see whether all these things are in there. If they're not, they should be. Let's see here. So job searching and network building. How many people in here are familiar with RunnerLink? Yeah, we really don't do a good job of getting the information, getting the word out on this campus about our own systems sometimes. I put a link in here, so if you just go to my presentation it says Professional Development Plan in the content section of Blackboard. Open this up and click on this link. It'll take you to where you need to go for RunnerLink. RunnerLink is our career center's oh man, yes. Oh, they changed it. Okay, so now I can't. Now my example doesn't work. What's that?
You have to activate your account again.
Do you know how to? What website it is?
Yeah, it's the same one.
Slash what? Okay, so I'm not going to be able to do my demonstration of RunnerLink, but RunnerLink exists. The point is, RunnerLink exists, and there's a couple thousand companies that our Career Center maintains contact with. And if you're interested in one of those companies, there's no need to reinvent the wheel. You can talk to the contacts that we already have with our recruiters here on campus. You just go to RunnerLink and search on the name of the company you're looking for. You can also go to RunnerLink and look for jobs that are currently being recruited for on this campus. So if you just go to csub.edu/CECE and then click on Students and Alumni, and then click on Handshake account, that will give you the same thing that I just got. You can set up your account, and then you can access those jobs and those company contacts. Okay? What color is your parachute? For those of you who are interested in that book, figuring out what you want to be when you grow up, I've put a link in here that will take you to it on Amazon. You could also just type in what color is your parachute on Amazon. It'll bring it up for you. 3 more slides. Planning big and planning a big dream or big income that you need. So one of the things that was really important to me, when I planned my career and my future as a professor was that I can travel to see friends and family, and B, that I have enough money for my entertainment budget. So I have money to go out to bars and restaurants and hang out with my friends. And I sat down and thought about, okay, realistically in 1 year, who are all the people that I want to visit? Well, I want to go to Brazil, I want to go to Europe, and I want to go a couple places in the U.S. So Brazil and Europe are going to be about $3,000 each, and add 4,000 more for 4 trips within the U.S. That's flight plus expenses, and you get up to about $10,000. It may sound like a lot, but if you plan on the number that you want to get to, then you can start working on earning the kind of money that you need in order to be able to make that dream come true. So I planned a long time ago that I would have $10,000 in my budget for travel and $20,000 for entertainment. So that's basically the way my budget works today. It's a little less than $20,000 for entertainment, but it's close. Some other examples: buying a house. So housing prices around here in Bakersfield are relatively reasonable. They're pretty good. $200,000, $300,000 for a new house. You're going to have a down payment though. So if you've got a down payment of 20%, for example, on a $200,000 house, that means you need $40,000 saved up for your down payment. Make sure that you're planning on saving. So if you save $400 a month for 10 months, that's $4,000. 100 months is $40,000. So
It's like 8 years.
what's that?
8 years.
Yeah. So if you save $400 a month for 8 years, you've got $40,000. If you save $1,000 a month, then you get there in 40 months instead. But think about where the money is not going to come from thin air. So when you're planning what your income is, what you're doing on the side for extra money, you just want to start your own business on the side in addition to your day job. These are the numbers that you need to know in order to get to where you want to go. So buying a house, taking care of your parents. This is something that I'm dealing with recently. My dad is in an assisted living facility, and unfortunately, he didn't plan well, and I didn't plan well for his like old age. So he has to share a room with somebody else right now. If you want your own room, in an assisted living facility, it's about $3,000 a month. So you can do the math on $36,000 a year. It behooves you to get long-term care insurance. Is a long story short, but if you're going to save, that's the number you're going to need. Being a millionaire is a goal that a lot of people, kind of dream about. If you put aside, I'm trying to think what I did this calculation a while back and now I've forgotten it, but basically, if you put aside $20,000 a year, $20,000 to $30,000 a year for 20 years, and you invest it at 10% interest, you'll become a millionaire. It's not rocket science. You just have to set aside that money and make sure you don't use it for something else. So, and then owning a Learjet, it's always been a dream of mine since I have a lot of friends in Germany and a lot of friends in Brazil. I want to be able to fly all over, and I hate having to fly like regular flight. It would be cool to have my own jet. So I looked into what it would cost to own a Learjet. How much do you guys think it is? If you want to own one, it costs about $60 million. If you want to rent one, you can rent a spot on a jet. Have you ever heard of NetJets? Yeah, so NetJets basically it's a timeshare for jets. So you share the jet with like 16 or 20 other people, and it's about $200,000 down payment plus $100,000 a year to have 1/16 of a jet. So just some numbers to encourage you guys to think big on your long-term goals. I'm going to skip over this slide. The last thing I want to say about networking, there's about 7 billion people on the planet. There's always going to be somebody out there that can help you with whatever it is that you want to get to, whether it's a customer or a new career, a new job, whatever. Those contacts are out there. The challenge is like keeping your head up and talking to enough people that you find that contact. It's important to leverage social media in that regard. You can really between the internet and social media, you can find a lot of information about contacts, so you don't have to actually ask them when you talk to them. You can go right to questions that are value added. You should make sure to document everything. Even if somebody's out to lunch when you call and you leave a voicemail, write that down. It might come in handy to be able to talk with them about the fact that they were out to lunch last time you called. And then don't take rejection personally. It's just part of the process. That's it. We actually used the whole time today, so have a good weekend, and I will see you guys on Tuesday. Yes.
You mentioned that fill something out. What was that about? Like
The professional development template?
yeah.
I sent an email around. Did you get the email?